Another incredibly powerful feature in Excel, especially when dealing with our database type data, is the ability to filter our data. Filtering effectively means choosing a subset of our original list, but we are choosing that subset of our list based on a certain criteria. The best way to demonstrate this is to just go with an example. To start off, to create my filter, I need to apply the filter mode. So within my Data tab, I'll click on my Filter button. Excel automatically recognizes the dimension of my table. Again, this was akin to pressing the Ctrl-A shortcut in order to select the entire table. If we wanted to filter a subsection of this list, I could have manually selected it and then applied the filter button. But as I'm happy to use the whole table, I can just let Excel work out where the list is. From here we can now see I have drop-down buttons on top of each one of my columns. These are my filter buttons. You'll notice there's various different options, including the ability to sort. Although we've already demonstrated the sorting functionality, applying a filter to your list is one of the easiest ways to sort that data subsequently. As we can see, we have various different sort options, sorting descending, ascending, and even by color. The other thing to understand about our filters is they adjust depending on the data in that column. For example, here we have the option of date filters. This is because Excel cleverly recognizes that the data in the column is a date. So I have, for example, my years grouped up first. I can choose to expand and see the months within those years. So let's say, for example, I'm only interested in looking at information from 2011. To do that, I need to first unselect this tick box, and that will mean that no subset of my data is selected. From here, I can then specify which subset of my data I want to choose. So I choose 2011 and click OK. You'll notice now I only have dates relating to 2011. Excel has effectively hidden from view anything that doesn't comply with my criteria. You can see that the rows have been hidden, as the double line between the row is showing that I have hidden information. So the data has not been deleted, it is simply hidden from view. I can click on my filter button again, go to Clear Filter from Sales Date, and all of my original data is again exposed. If I was to click on a different column with different types of information, I can now see that the context is slightly different. I now have text filters available to me. Using the standard filters, I can again remove the Select All tick box and choose one or many of my other options from the list. For example, I may be interested in transactions by Gill and Howard. By clicking both of these items, I will now filter down on just those two criteria. And there we have it. I can now view the transactions for Howard and Gill. But these filters can be much more sophisticated. I can even use a search box. First of all, I need to restore the filter to its original shape by clicking the Select All button. I could, for example, perform a rather strange filter and just filter by any salesperson with the letter O in their name. I can now see that I have Howard, Jones and Sorvino selected because they all have an O in their name. Let's have a look at a more relevant example. Within my items sold, I can use the search box to find anything relating to pen. If I type in PEN, you can now see that I have selected pen, pen set, and pencils. Again, my list is filtered, revealing only the records that comply with my criteria of pen. Again, let's remove that filter. There's a huge variety of customization that I can apply within my filters. Returning to the date filter, I can manually select certain months, or I can apply a custom filter. For example, I can pick this week, next week, last week, next month, and a whole different variety of options. If I want to be even more precise, I can choose a before, after, or between. Let's say I want to find anything after the 5th of January 2011. I can click into my date box to pre-select from a little calendar. Or I can simply type into the box. And click OK. The list is filtered according to my criteria, and only records after the 5th of January 2011 are displayed. It's also worth understanding that you can apply multiple filters to your list at the same time. So for example, I've selected these rows that are all after the 5th of January 2011. I can further narrow that down by records that comply with my date range and also were only made in the East. I deselect Central and I'm left just with any filtered rows that have East in them. These filters are independent, so I can return to my date column and remove the filter on date. My filter on region for East is still selected. A very impressive feature within Excel 2013 is the ability to also filter by color. Moving on to my second example here, these colors have been applied using conditional formatting. I enter my filter, and I can see that I can sort by color or also filter by color. And I could, for example, filter on the orange values or filter on the yellow values. I also have a huge variety of number filters. I can find values that are equal to, not equal to, greater than a certain value or less than. Let's say, for example, I want to find values that are greater than $4. And here again I can see my filters come into effect. Notice that I can only perform one filter on one column at a time. Although I can have multiple filters across multiple columns, I cannot simultaneously filter by color and by number.